Oh, sorry. I have a new, hold on a second. I guess we're doing it now. Okay. Action. Ah! Guys, you'll never believe it! Alien squirrels! That's right! Squirrels from outer space have taken over my backyard! Exasperated tumble! Ugh, so exasperated. I must forage for radioactive acorns to provide them with sustenance so they'll return to their mothership and go back to the oak tree planet from whence they've came. And end scene. Okay, I think that works. I think that works. For this week, I guess we'll do a 5 little mini episode segment in the intros relating to alien squirrels. Will I be able to save the planet from their gnawing squirrel powers? I don't know. I'll have to work it out as I go. Okay. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here again. Today's video is going to be about, actually a few things. We're going to talk about a few things today. So, chapter 1013 spoilers right out of the gate here. There was a very impactful chapter. The end of it certainly hit really hard, with Kaido just like home running Luffy off the side of Onigashima. I heard a lot of people saying that like I would have loved for Luffy, because he's been doing this up until this point, when Kid and Killer and everybody were up there. Luffy just kind of kept charging at Kaido and kept getting knocked back over and over and over again. Enough that while that's going on, Law and Zoro and Kid and everybody are trying to figure out a plan while Luffy just keeps getting bounced back and forth because he has no patience and he just wants to get, okay, this time I'll bring you down. Oh, okay, well now this time. So I feel like Luffy probably did the exact same thing, except no one else is around. So he's like, okay, bring it on, Kaido. I got Conqueror's Hockey now. We got this. And then Kaido's like, oh, you think you can take me down? Well, bring it on, kid. I'll give you my full power bat. And then Luffy just like, yeah. And then he charges right at him. And Kaido's just like, bam. And it's Kaido, and he really did go full power, so he really did knock Luffy over the side of Onigashima, to the point where Kaido himself is kind of lamenting, like, ah, dang it, I got too carried away, I should have held back, yeah, now what am I going to do, right? So, that happened, and I'm sitting there reading the manga, and I'm thinking, wow, Act 3 is still going, huh? Like, you know, if there was gonna be a moment for Act 3 to end, I feel like there's plenty of them we've passed by already, like the scene where he lifted up the entire island. That would have been cool. Around chapter 1000, I thought a lot of people thought that's where Act 3 was going to end, but no, Act 3 just keeps on chugging along, keeps on going. In fact, here's a fun little factoid. So I think most people know that Wano is, as of right now, the longest arc in One Piece. Dressrosa was previously the holder of that record. Wano has already passed that up. Wano started in chapter 909, and now we're at 1013, so it's been like, I think Dressrosa was 102, so we're like 106 or whatever. I don't know math, but it's like somewhere around that for Wano right now. However, not just the entirety of Wano, but Act 3 by itself, with the conclusion of chapter 1013, Act 3 started at 958. We had a little bit in the present, and then we immediately cut over to Oden's flashback, and then we got back from Oden's flashback to the battle at Onigashima. 55 chapters since chapter 958. 55 chapters, which is longer than these individual arcs from One Piece. Yep, that's a lot of arcs. Also, fun fact, Enies Lobby, Enies Lobby was 56 chapters. So next chapter of One Piece will be equal number, Act 3 and Enies Lobby, same length. So, yeah, that was a lot of arcs, okay? You know, just Act 3, that's just Act 3 by itself. So I started to think, like, okay, how exactly is this going to go? So I went back and looked at some Kabuki act structure. I've done this at the beginning of Wano, because as soon as Oda revealed that he was doing that, like, you know, Act 1 conclusion, Act 2 conclusion, I'm like, alright, makes sense. Wano is based off of the Edo period in Japan, mainly, during the, you know, the Tokugawa shogunate, and that's the time period where Kabuki and ukiyo-e paintings really flourished in Japan during the Edo period. And so I'm like, okay, you're going Kabuki with this, and so what's about Kabuki? Because I didn't know really a lot about it. I've never seen a Kabuki play myself, although that would be pretty cool. The closest I really had was the scene in Pokemon Gold where you go into the Kabuki Theater in Ekutique City and you fight the ladies and you get the different evolutions. So that was the closest I had, so I had to do a little bit of research. So initially, it seems like the 5 acts of Kabuki, Jo, Ha, and Q are the main thing. You know, like that's usually how it goes, where the first act is Joe, and it's a very kind of slow start, just kind of easing you into the play. And then there's Ha, which you might know that from the break that we had in between Act 1 and Act 2. That's kind of the origin of all the Ha faces, you know, so Ha. And now Ha denotes the second, third, and fourth acts of the Kabuki play, where things begin to speed up. In fact, it speeds up with each act, you know, so second act, and then the third act is faster than the second act, and then the fourth is faster than the third. And then finally, Q, which is the fifth act, which is a very speedy resolution, okay? I have read that 3-act Kabuki plays do exist, okay? It's just they're not as common, I guess. And since we're going with the Edo period, that's the basis, I would imagine that Oda might do a more traditional aspect of this. And from what I understand, and I could be completely wrong on this, but from what my understanding is, from what I've read, the 5-act Kabuki play is the traditional, like, type of play that started in the Edo period. So I'm assuming that's what he's doing. Because a lot of people are thinking, like, man, Act 3 has gone on for so long at this point, is there even going to be any other acts? Is this just going to be it, you know? And, you know, I feel like there's definitely going to be. I have a feeling because just the way that the acts are structured in One Piece, not the acts, the arcs, the way that Oda structures the arcs, you know, it's the big epic battle with all of the different, you know, enemies and all that stuff. In this case, it's the Beast Pirates, but there's always the cool down, you know, there's always the moment after the Straw Hats reign victorious, and they either stay on the same island or they go back to another island and they rest and they recuperate and they have an awesome feast. And especially considering this is Wano, this has been amped up for so long in the story, and it's the longest arc in One Piece so far. Of course there's going to be a moment like that, right? There's going to be a moment where the Straw Hats are all going to be victorious and having an epic, you know, celebratory dinner. You know, Momo is going to be the new Shogun. At least we assume that's going to go down, right? So with that being said, I feel like that would definitely fit in, like, Act 5. If Act 5 is only, like, 1 or 2 chapters, that could make sense. You know, maybe a little bit longer than that. Like, there's, like, maybe 1 or 2 chapters for, like, you know, the cool down and for the Straw Hats to recuperate, and then the feast, and then there's the chapter where they actually physically sail away from Wano. That can be accomplished pretty damn quickly, especially considering, like, I think Act 1 of Wano was only like 15 chapters or something like that. I might have some of the numbers wrong, but Act 5 would definitely be the shortest out of all of them, okay? So here's an idea, and this is what I'm thinking now. If we are going along with this 5-act structure, with the Joe, Ha, and Q, what if the entire Battle of Onigashima, the whole thing, from start to finish, is Act 3. Alright, that includes Big Mom being defeated eventually, Kaido being defeated eventually, all of the Straw Hats fight with the Tobi Roppo, each individually playing out, all of them. Alright, so the battle's essentially over that we know of. You know, King, Queen, Jack, they're all taken care of as well. And then right when you think the celebration is going to begin, right when you think that the Scabbards and the Samurai and the Straw Hats have all reigned victorious, Act 3 end, and Act 4 begins, and it's like, well, like the latter half of Marineford, basically, where you think things are, well, you don't think things are doing good, but you're like, they can't get much worse, can they? Oh yeah, they can. So Act 4 kicks off with everybody celebrating right after the battle's over. Like, we're not at the celebratory feast yet. It's like right after the battle. It's like right after Kaido is like fallen into the ocean or whatever, however they're gonna defeat Kaido. It's like, we did it! Act 3. And then Act 4, whoop, we did it! And then Blackbeard just boom! Just bombards Wano. Or the Marines show up and they bombard Wano. Or something else crazy happens where you didn't see it coming from a mile away. You thought that it was all going to be about Big Mom and Kaido, but no, it's going to be something even insane. Maybe Green Bull finally arrives. Maybe Vegapunk is finally revealed. Something like that for Act 4. And then Act 5 is the speedy resolution there. The only problem with that is that if something really crazy like that did happen, I don't think it would be a situation where the Straw Hats would be able to hang out and have a feast in Wano afterwards. Like, if the Marines really do attack Wano, and they wait until Kaido and Big Mom are defeated first, which is an idea, because, you know, it's like, oh, okay, these are two Yonko. If they work together, they could take over the world. But this also poses a very interesting hypothesis, where if they were to both be defeated, then that would throw the Yonko out of balance, and it might be the Marines or the world government that might be able to take over as the supreme power, okay? And so the Marines might very well be waiting in the wings. Yes, the Marines are going out to take care of the warlords as well, but you also have the SSG. You also have that Special Science Division and stuff, and Vegapunk's involved in all that. You don't know. And also, I made a video about this last year about how the end of the Edo period, which is, of course, what Wano's based off of, is the arrival of the black ships from the United States in history in the 1850s. The black ships showed up with Perry, Commodore Perry. He showed up and then forcibly opened the country of Japan to the entire world, okay? So that could very well happen with the Marines. The Marines might very well show up and then be like, oh, cool, Kaido's defeated, Big Mom's defeated, we're just going to storm into Wano, because Wano, of course, has a lot of resources that the world government and the Marines would definitely want. Just the cachet of Sea Prism alone would be worth it. It was also referred to as the country of gold back in the day, so there's probably resources of that kind as well, like gold mines and stuff. Maybe if there were, like, gold mines and things, maybe the people of Wano might have not have been able to mine it, but with the advanced technology of Vegapunk, they might be able to. So, yeah, I think the world government would definitely be interested in that. So, if it's like Act 4, the Marines show up and be like, all right, we're taking over Wano now, the Straw Hats probably wouldn't have a lot of a chance to, like, hang out in the palace and have an epic feast. They'd probably just have to get out of Dodge as quickly as possible, right? So there's a problem with that. You could still make it work somehow, though. You could make it work that, like, oh, okay, the Marines are attacking, and the Straw Hats barely get out of Onigashima alive, and maybe they get taken to an underground location somewhere in Wano, like the Mogura Port or something. That would actually make a lot of sense. They go to the Mogura Port where they rest and recuperate, and then they sail away from Wano in that underground tunnel, so they don't have to worry about the Marines finding them. That's how actually the Straw Hats escape, by sailing out of the Mogura Port. So you could still do that, but it would be kind of a different sort of ending to a lot of other arcs of One Piece, where the Straw Hats are like, okay, they've won the battle, now here's their reward. They get to relax, they get to eat, you know, and then they get to just sail off while bidding goodbye and well wishes to all the people that helped them. In this case, it would be Momo, Hiyori, all the scabbards, everything like that, right? So, yeah, or Blackbeard attacking too, but that also, if Blackbeard attacked, I don't think Blackbeard, well, he could attack Wano, take the devil fruits of Kaido and Big Mom, and then leave. That would be a thing. And I know you might be saying, well, isn't that just basically a rehash of what already happened at Marineford? I mean, like, rehash, call it whatever you want, that logically makes sense from Blackbeard's perspective. Blackbeard's whole thing is gathering really strong devil fruit powers. That's literally the reason he attacked and went through this massive scheme to get Whitebeards at Marineford. That was the whole point, right? So, you know, he's not like sitting there at Hachinosu Island, Blackbeard is, and being like, Zehahaha, should I go to Wano afterwards and retrieve the Soul Fruit and the Ua Ua no Mi model dragon at the same time? And then Tsuryu walks up to him, not Tsuryu, Shiryu. Shiryu is somebody from One Punch Man. Shiryu is the guard guy with the invisibility fruit. So yeah, Shiryu's there and he's like, I don't know, Blackbeard, that just seems like you're just redoing the same thing you did at Marineford. Have a little bit of originality. No! That would be something Blackbeard would definitely have his eye on, right? Especially since he already has some sort of spy network in Wano. Like, he's aware of what's going on in Wano from what it seems. So, you know, he's like, okay, Straw Hat Luffy and his little merry band and the Kid Pirates and the Heart Pirates and all these other really strong warriors are all gathering together at Wano, and they're fighting against Big Mom and Kaido. Now, Blackbeard might be looking at it like, well, okay, Kaido and Big Mom are probably going to win this because they're seasoned veterans and they're, you know, they're Yonko and everything, and they're really strong. However, Blackbeard is also an opportunist, so he's going to be like, tell you what, Zehaha, let's just keep an eye on it here. Let's just see where it goes, because I'll tell you what, if Big Mom and Kaido defeat them, it'll probably just be an absolute, like, curb stomp, right? Like, you know, Kaido and Big Mom just wipe them out if that's really how it was going to go. Not a big deal. But if Luffy and his alliance end up succeeding, even if they did win and they defeated Kaido and Big Mom, they would probably be wiped. They would probably be done at the end of the battle. It would be a really, really uphill battle for them, right? So Blackbeard's like, let's see what happens. If Kaido and Big Mom lose, then we can sweep in really quick, or swoop in really quick. We will sweep in really quick with our brooms. That's how Blackbeard steals devil fruit powers, with enchanted brooms. He swoops in, and then they take, okay, we're just going to take this dragon fruit. Oh, and this soul fruit. All right, see everybody. And then they leave. And then, you could still have the moment where it's like, oh no, that's not good, but you can also have a moment where they can at least, okay, well, Blackbeard kind of pulled one over on us again, but at least, you know, Wano is saved for right now. I mean, this is going to be a problem later down the line. We're going to have to deal with the Blackbeard pirates now having the powers of, you know, well, Blackbeard has the Yami Yami no Mi and the Gura Gura, and he gets his hand on the Soul Soul and the Dragon Fruit. That's the power of all 4 Yonkos combined into one crew. We're going to have to deal with that at some point, but for right now, let's go back to the palace. Momo's the new shogun. Yay, celebration, everything, and then we can sail off. You know, that would also make some sense, because how is Kaido going to be defeated? I mean, that's the #1 question I think a lot of people are asking. I made a bunch of videos, sorry, Barry. I made a bunch of videos about that before, like, you know, maybe Momo's fruit and Kaido's fruit are, like, connected through, like, some, like, you know, because of Vegapunk's experiments and everything like that, and through, like, devil fruit magic. So maybe that's one way, like, Momo could absorb the powers of the dragon fruit. Because, you know, death really doesn't happen that often in One Piece. I don't even think Zeus is dead from the last chapter or anything like that. So if death is a very rare thing in One Piece, and Luffy isn't going to just straight up, like, decapitate Kaido with a mighty King Kong gun. If that's not going to happen, how are you going to get rid of Kaido so not only does he lose the battle, but he doesn't come back to Wano? Like, simply kicking him out of the country isn't going to be enough. You know, he could always come back. Kind of the same thing with Eneru. I mean, Eneru, if he really wanted to, could have just sailed right back to Skypiea with his Maxim, and he could have become the god all over again after the Straw Hats left. Like, there was nothing preventing him from doing that. It's just that Eneru's goal was not to go back and rule over Skypiea, it was to go to Fairy Verth, right? But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we defeated Kaido, I knocked him into the ocean, he's miles away by now. All right, Momo, Hiyori, Scabbards, you have good time, you know, leading your country. We're out of here. 5 days later, Kaido shows back up again. He's like, I'm back. I don't know why you thought I would just leave, but I'm back. Right? It's like, that's not good at all. But if Blackbeard shows up and Kaido is defeated and wrecked and also has his fruit taken from him, I mean, he would still be a threat if he was left alive, but, you know, his threat level has definitely dropped without having the dragon powers anymore, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's something you have to keep in mind. And, you know, that's, the name of this saga is versus the 4 emperors, or versus the Yonko. Like, that's the name of this saga that kind of encapsulates Wano, Tautland, and I think it started at Zou. The Straw Hats, you know, going into the New World and facing off against, you know, Big Mom and Kaido on their home turf and everything like that. But what if the way Oda spins it is like, oh no, it's fighting against the Yonko individually, but by the end of this arc, by the end of Wano, it's Blackbeard that has the power of 4 emperors all at once. You know, Whitebeard, Blackbeard, Kaido, and Big Mom all together in one crew. And that will be, like, the greatest threat the Straw Hats have ever faced off against. That'll be, like, their final hurdle to face off against. Like, against, like, the Blackbeard pirates at, like, Laugh Tale or whatever. Like, that'll be it. That'll be the moment, okay? And you might be thinking, like, wow, that's a lot, though, for Blackbeard to have all of those powers at once. I mean, that's kind of overkill, right? I'll be honest with you, like, when the Straw Hats first started going up against the Yonko, when it's like, oh yeah, no, the Straw Hats are going to go up against Big Mom now. Now the Straw Hats are going up against Kaido. I was thinking, like, oh, is it a little bit too soon for that? Or are the Straw Hats ready? Well, we got the answer to that last time, at least, like, Luffy fighting Kaido one-on-one. We got the answer to that if Luffy was ready for that. But yeah, I mean, like, I think, you know, this story is going to start amping up in insane ways. Like, it's going to be ridiculous after Wano. Like, I still want to include Elbaf and everything in there as well. And we could have a few arcs in between. You know, it's kind of like, all right, Blackbeard stole all these devil fruits, but he's not going to immediately try to take over the world. He's going to go back to Hachinosu and figure everything out and have this master plan. But then after he figures everything out, then he's going to maybe try to attack Marijois or something. And, you know, then eventually try to get the One Piece along the way, or something like that. You know, that might be another angle to take it too. Is Blackbeard even really interested in the One Piece? You want to say he is. Blackbeard is always the kind of character that's like, you know, the age of the dreamers will never end. The age where pirates dream will never go away. That'll always be the case, right? You know, about Sky Island and the One Piece itself and whatever. But you really get the impression that Blackbeard's kind of ultimate goal is just to make, kind of like what Kaido wanted, a pirate paradise all over the world, right? I'm sure maybe obtaining the One Piece is probably on his bucket list somewhere. But I think overall, I think he really wants to set his sights on Marijois. I feel like Blackbeard wants to gather as much power as he can, and then when he feels like he has enough, he's just going to attack Marijois and just like burn the whole city down, right? And that'll be a thing because it'll be like, oh, the revolutionaries were going to do that, and they had their whole plan, but then Blackbeard got involved and just messed the whole thing up. It's essentially like Blackbeard messes up everybody's plan, Marine, pirate, revolutionary, or otherwise, doesn't matter, right? And then so eventually Blackbeard might set his sights on Laughtail and find the One Piece, and that'll be where the Straw Hats face off against them or whatever, probably with a lot of help with like the Straw Hat Grand Fleet and then everybody that's helped them out up until this point. It might literally be down to a situation where it's like, and I'm not exaggerating here, like, everybody against the Blackbeard Pirates. And what do I mean by everybody versus the Blackbeard Pirates? I mean the Straw Hats, of course, the Grand Fleet, of course, revolutionaries, the Marines, and maybe even, like, let's say Kaido and Big Mom don't die, they just have their fruits taken from them and they're beaten down really hard. What if Kaido and Big Mom also show up? What if Doflamingo breaks out of jail? And it's like a thing, and the Tenryubito, and the world government, and the CPs, they're all like CP0 with Rob Lucci and everybody. They're just like, literally Blackbeard has screwed over every single other faction that exists in this world. They're going down, right? Okay? And then you could have this monumentous battle where it's not just the Straw Hats, but it's everybody up against the 10 Titanic captains of Blackbeard's crew, plus all these other people that he probably gathered along the way. You know, like Blackbeard himself. Let's say Blackbeard can only have 2 devil fruits. He might be able to have like 3 or more, but let's say he has the Yami Yami and the Gura Gura. Shiryu's got the freaking invisibility fruit. Katarina Devon's got a mythical zone. I don't know. Avala Pizarro gets the dragon fruit or whatever. Who gets the soul fruit? I don't know. I guess San Juan already has a fruit, so he can't have Vasco shot. That doesn't make any sense, but let's just roll with it. You understand where I'm coming from here, though. Like, really, like, everybody realizes at once Blackbeard is the main threat, and they all go after him, okay? And then Shanks is in the background like, I told you this whole time! I've been telling you! No one listens to me! Like, so poor Shanks, right? But yeah, that was a scattershotted one. That was a video that went, I didn't even really know where this was going to end up, so I just took it on whatever track it ended up on. It was pretty much just me talking about, like, how long's Act 3 gonna go on? And we ended with this massive battle with Blackbeard facing off against the entire world. Oh well, that seems to make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Comment down below. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for supporting the channel and all that good stuff. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Later, everyone.